Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. This is the Imperfect Ashlers Masonic Podcast. All the views and opinions stated on this show are strictly those of the host and their guests and do not reflect the opinions of any Masonic Lodge or Grand Lodge. What's up, y'all? We are the Imperfect Ashlers, back for episode number 12 now. As always, I'm Brother Zach, and beside me I got Brother Ben over there.
Hey, Brother Zach. Hello, everyone.
Tonight we have, I know in the last episode we promised it was going to be the guys from the Observant Lodge, but we haven't been able to set that up yet. We are working on it. But instead we have another treat tonight, Brother Hunter Brasfield, that was raised the 29th, July 29th at James D. Trust up in Raglan. What is that, 515? 515, yep. So we're going to interview him again. We got him on as an EA and see what he thinks now. See what's different. First of all,
this episode was originally supposed to be revisiting the West Gate, so this will be revisiting Hunter Brasfield.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, so I think the original idea was what? Do my EA when I made that fellow crab talk to him?
Yeah, do one in each degree. And that's
got hectic.
Yeah. We are the, what was it, the Imperfect excuse maker.
Joe Bryant, our title now are the Imperfect Excuse Makers.
Yeah.
Joe Bryant.
And we try.
He's the
we try not to make too many excuses.
No, we're doing better about it. But first off, of course, from the show and from us as Masons, congratulations.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Of course, both of us were there and told you that night. But
yeah.
So we just wanted to interview you and see what you think is different. And my first question, just like it was with Ron, was it what you thought it was going to be?
Like I told you last time we sat down, I didn't know what I expected it to be. So, I mean, the biggest difference now, I'll tell you this, is that I don't get kicked out of lodge every other night.
Yeah. You actually get to sit in and hang out for the business. Yeah. Now, do you feel any different when you're sitting in lodge? Do you feel kind of empowered a little bit, I guess you could say?
I don't know if this is a word I would use yet, because I still got a lot of learning to do. But I went from just sitting on the sideline, obviously in the designated spots, doing nothing to, hey, you got to go.
Yeah.
We'll see you next Monday.
Yeah.
So my first night I sat in lodge as a master I didn't take that seat right there. I was like, you sure? You sure? Yes. Really?
Yeah.
So I've been allowed to take part of work. Last week, we actually got to work a little bit, practicing from where we went and visited Aniano in case we all got put to work there and I got to take part in that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to it than I knew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's
obviously, my ceremony, I saw a lot.
It's so deep.
Yeah.
But there's a lot you don't see.
And it's so
right.
And that's one thing, you'll see a lot more of that, and getting to, that's what we talked about before, getting to visit places and things like that. When you go visit, you do want to know what to do, just in case, they put you in a spot and, you're not going, oh God, what do I do?
Well, so that was my
That's what I do.
That was my fear over in Aniano. We went over there, they were like, hey, you need to be a little sure in case they put you to work somewhere. I was like, I'm going to tell them point blank, like, not tonight.
Yeah. I mean,
no disrespect, but I've got to.
All you got to do is just tell them I was raised, a couple of weeks ago. I don't know anything.
I'll say I went and visited their secretary that night, and he said, you ain't really been nowhere. Mm-hmm. I said, well, I've only been the master for about 10 days.
and you'll get more of that under your belt as time goes on. And I know you said this week you're going to try to come visit us at Thursday. We're going to do something.
Looking like
I don't know what.
Us and the senior warden will be there.
Okay, cool.
Sidney said he will come with me.
Well, we'll definitely welcome y'all in. Have you got any questions to start off?
I've got a question. Okay, so out of the 3 degrees, entered apprentice, fellow crowd, master mason, everybody seems to have a preference or a favorite. Which out of the 3 degrees, which one was your favorite?
So far, learning all the master stuff has been more fun to me now that I understand more things, I've seen where things tie in.
Right.
A lot of verbiage and actions. I've started seeing where all that ties in. I've enjoyed this more. Fellowcraft, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's shorter, but it made me mad. because the wording so much the same as the first degree, I kept getting things twisted up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it made me mad trying to learn. Like, I know the answer, but I keep trying to get a first degree.
Yeah.
It made me mad. So right now, I'm really happy with a third.
Yeah, they are very similar, and that's what I'm teaching one of our EAs right now with his examination
Right.
stuff, and I tell him, in the first degree, it's more just kind of testing the
Right.
waters, making sure you want to be there, and making sure you're going to be a good addition. Fellowcraft, you actually get into a little bit more of what masonry is, and then Master Mason, of course, is the full culmination
Yeah.
of everything.
And I was like I said, I was making myself mad because I'd answer the question. I'd sit over there and be like, okay, I know what this is. And then I'd get up and give the wrong answer because I reverted back to first degree.
Right.
So that's out the way. I feel a lot better.
Yeah. Do you plan on learning the master class? Okay.
Work on it.
You'll run into that a little bit more.
Oh, I know. I've noticed.
There's a lot that'll be similar on that too. But it's all, whether the master is what you're going to have to learn if you want to go anywhere.
Right.
As a master mason, they're going to examine you, and that's what it's going to be on. So, be a good thing to learn for sure, whether you do it in lodge or not.
Right.
And there's been talk about making that a requirement, right? To turn that in.
I think there's been talk about it, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, you don't think
I think the Grand Lodge will be against it completely. I know states that require it, but I don't know how they enforce that. Because once you get your master mason, you're a master mason,
right? So
they just say you're not fully quote unquote a master mason until you give this back.
Fishing in your master mason.
Yeah,
master masonry.
I guess you two benefits to get a preview point, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now they're pushing for me because a lot of in our lodge we've got a lot of old timers and we've got a couple.
Yeah.
We've got a couple guys that were district lecturers who really know the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pushing for me really to learn this lesson and then learn it all. That way, somewhere down the line, I can help teach and carry on the tradition because there are a lot of that.
Yeah. We were doing some work the other night in the entered apprentice, just going through the degree and everything. And I did my first entered apprentice from the east in the Worshipful Master Station. It was Jeremy, the guy I'm teaching, and a lot of it I had to read out of the book part of it.
Is that the one that I just recently came and visited for?
It may have been.
I can't remember.
It's just been about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. That's okay. That's it.
I had to read a lot of that, and we went to practice the other night, and the guy that was you were leading him around. You were his conductor, but the guy that was checking us, that was doing the I guess just checking, Brother Steve Ayers. He told me, why don't you just push the papers off and do it? I said, all right. And I made it pretty good way through, and I was like, I'm surprised how much of that I actually remember.
Well, yeah. Like with anything else, you can surprise yourself really easy.
Yeah. But that's one of those things. Like I said, you'll get into it. And have you been able to sit in officer stations yet or anything? Do you know? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. First night, I got thrown straight to junior deacon.
I got you. Okay.
I walked in and decided, hey, it's the first time I'm never going to get kicked out.
The same thing happened to me at my lodge in Sylacauga at Coosa Valley. Was about the second time I went to lodge, they put me in.
No, they didn't give me the second time. I walked in, like I said, I was excited. I sat up a little spot, didn't have an assigned seat. So, man, this is nice. I set everything up. So, Brother Brasfield, I was like, uh-oh.
You thought you were going to pick your own seat, and they put you in the seat they wanted you in, right?
I told them, so why don't you go over there and take the junior deacon? I'm like, you sure?
It could be worse. So Brother Ron, that we just raised him, he's our Tyler now. So we kicked him out.
Yeah. He was so excited about being able to sit in his own, his own seat, and then he's like, they kicked me out the door. Yeah, they did the same
Which
thing to me.
I think he'll do a good job. Now we did have an issue. We talked about we were going to do the guard in the West Gate, and we've decided against a lot of that for a few reasons. But we did have somebody come in that nobody knew, and he didn't really know what to do. So we're going to have to go over that some with him on how to go about interviewing and examining somebody and all that. But that's not a problem. We'll get there when we'll get to it, I'm sure. But
so now, as a Master Mason, you're entitled to all the rights of Master Masons, right? I don't see any jewelry. Where's your
I'll tell you about that. So my toilet broke over the weekend. It broke Friday night. And
I got to do a ring.
Here with me. So me and you were firefighters together. I'm not a germaphobe.
Yeah.
But I don't like messing with plumbing or toilets.
Oh, That's
I
understandable.
don't care if it's in the top or if it's in the
Right.
bottom. I don't want
That's
to
all I'm
touch it.
saying.
I'm keeping from getting my wedding ring, and I do have a Master Mason ring now. Took them off, set them on the dresser. I got dressed real quick to come over here. I was about 2 miles from being here. I looked at my hand. I said, "Dadgummit."
I don't wear mine all the time. I just went ahead and got it tattooed on me.
That might be one of the
That's,
next steps.
I mean, you're welcome to it now.
And so as Master Masons, it's safe for us to say,
But I knew you were going to ask me about it. I knew it.
yeah, absolutely. That's our treasure. So as Master Masons, we're entitled to all the light masonry, right?
Nah,
And that being said, we're a secret society, right?
a society with secrets.
We're a society. I'm sorry.
You
We're a
got that
society with
sticker on your
secrets.
truck now.
Okay.
Be one ask one.
So we're also a society with secrets from our initiates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have secrets as Master Mason. We have secrets from Fellowcraft. We have secrets from
Right.
EAs.
Yeah.
And now that you're Master Mason, you realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, while hey, maybe you walked up in a circle and they started whispering, or the conversation changed.
Right.
I caught myself the other night.
Yeah.
You were there when I caught myself
Yeah.
real fast, and I thought, "Whoa, well, there's an EA standing right
That
there."
was my personal favorite when you walk up and everybody shuts up and looks at you.
Right.
It was like, oh,
I'm sorry. That's when you flash your ring out and they'll keep talking.
yeah.
I don't know it's about you.
I haven't had that happen yet. I've had some
Oh,
people
this old
look at
timer
me
didn't give
weird.
me a chance.
It's funny you say that. I was in a college fraternity, and I went back to the college fraternity house a few weeks ago. I walked in, and it was summer rush, and I said, "Hey, I want to rush fraternity." And they said, "All right, come on in here." And I was like, "My name's Zach. I'm so and so. I owed a lamb to whatever my initiate number was." And they're like, "Oh my God, get out!" But it's the same thing. You're going to get that everywhere. You walk in, if you don't have a ring on, even if you do have a ring on,
That don't
you
mean they
still,
trust it.
yeah, you still, I mean, like I said, that guy that showed up the other day, he had a Masonic necklace on. He couldn't produce a dues card or he couldn't tell us where he was a member or anything. So it's just one of them things. I mean, you're going to run into people that you don't know any of them. That's why we have the examinations.
So that's one thing they told me the other night, too, when we went to Aniana's. Make sure you got your passport with you
Mm-hmm.
and make sure you got your dues card.
Yeah.
Dues card's right there. I was never asked not one time for it.
That's right.
It just depends. I mean, you may have people that know people that, hey, I went and saw this guy raised the other day.
Right.
So it's just word of mouth. But
And that's something else, too, I'm wanting to bring up. Talking about watching the ceremony.
mhm.
So the other night, the man's going through his process. He turned and looked at me at one point in time, and I couldn't help but grin and laugh. And he just kind of looked at me sideways, and I just put my hands up. I was like, hey, you'll see. And I talked to him at the end of the night. I said, buddy, I couldn't help but laugh at you. It's nothing against you. I said, I just went through it about 2 weeks back, and I knew what was coming. I
Yeah.
said, you had no clue. So, yeah. He said, I never would have expected any of it.
Well, and that's a good thing. That's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, that's what sets us apart. Is
Were you relieved to
what we went
find
through.
out there was no goat?
No, I'm actually kind of mad about it.
Yeah.
I was told I had to make his nose touch the ground before.
And it was funny. Before I was raised, guy looked at me and he said, "Hey man, there's no goat." And I was like, "What goat are you talking
What do you
about?"
mean?
And he was like, "There's no goat. You don't have to ride a goat."
Mhm.
Like, what are you talking about? Because I'd never
Never
heard
knew
of it.
that?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about riding.
That's when I think when I went through, and I've heard it several other times. I never heard anything about it either, other than maybe once.
Oh, I heard it all.
It wasn't like you're riding it or anything like that. But as soon as I got blindfolded out here, me.
Yeah. What's crazy is next to our lodge, the Coosa 929, there's a guy. This is no joke.
Right.
Hmm.
The guy that I went to school with, his nickname was Goat. Okay? He lives beside the lodge. Basically, our property and his property are split by a barbed wire fence.
Right.
And he's got goats over there. And there used to be a sign out there that said goats for sale. So that was the big joke when you would come up for,
Yeah.
they were surrounded by goats. And also the goats periodically will get out of the cage,
Right.
would get
Sneak
out of their
over.
fencing area and come up to the front door and poop all over the landing when you go into the
That's like
lodge.
5 minutes before we started mom's ceremony that night. One of the guys stepped outside to hit his vape, and he came back. He said, that trailer just pulled up. I said, bring it out.
The trailer. You hear a cowbell or
Thanks for bringing me in here. So I said, I'll give y'all a show. He said, you ain't worried about it, are you? Not really. I'm hard to shake. They kept trying to get in my head about it, like, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I said, well, we'll see what happens when we get there.
And the whole idea is that by the time that you're raised, you realize that you are surrounded by a group of men, a group of brothers that you can trust.
Yeah, I agree.
Regardless of the situation, you know that you're in good hands.
Yeah. And see, that's one thing my lodge has been super good about, too, because, I've heard people taking a lot shorter journey to get there than I have, but I got raised EA January 15th and the Master Mason July 29th, so it didn't take me long.
Right.
And they've been more than willing to help me, stuff like that. So whenever somebody tries to mess with me, like, oh, you're going to have to do that, I'm like, I just can't see them doing it. They've been more than supportive the whole time, through the whole thing, and without a shadow of a doubt, happy to call them a brother.
Yeah. And without saying too much, there is a little bit of tomfoolery there.
Yeah.
But
that's where we got dudes gathered. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's
same way with the fire department.
Yeah, exactly. When to work, when to play. And that's what, the ceremony itself, the degree work and all that, to me, I take it super serious. I know he does too. And it's something that, that's what's been passed down to us for generations and generations since time immemorial.
That's something I had a problem with the other night over there, watching that man go through his. Taking the work serious, but knowing what I went through and watching him have that same dumbfounded look, every time he kind of looked my direction, I just crack a grin because you can't know.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah. It'll be fun. You go.
Now, have you had a chance other than that to go to any other lodges?
So far, I've only been to Amiana and y'all's lodge. Obviously, I'm working on trying to change that now that I've got availability.
Yeah.
So I want to go as many as I can. It's like the guy told me on my passport. Like I told you, he was like, "You ain't been much." I was like, "We had 2 weeks."
So I don't have the actual passport. You can get them on Amazon. I need to get me one.
I need to get one too.
I'm sure we can get you one. We got a whole bunch of them.
Heck yeah.
So you're a Master Mason now. Now that you're a Master Mason, you're also entitled to join these appendant bodies. Scottish Rite, York Rite. Have you thought anything about the appendant bodies?
I've been reading through that because obviously they did my Bible presentation that night, what have you, and been reading through a lot of that, learning. Somewhere down the line, I want to get involved with it. Yeah. Before I do, obviously, I want to learn everything Blue Lodge.
That's good.
That's a good way to think about it. That's what I would tell you.
I don't want to jump ahead and then there'd be a big gap because, like, oh, you skipped over here. So I don't want to jump into something without knowing this part first. But down the road, yes.
Yeah.
But right now, it's kind of taking time to learn this, figure out what's what, and then move forward from there.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I think even me, I was probably almost 7, 8. I've been in about 8 years now, other than the time I went suspended. But I was probably about 6 years, 7 years in when I went did the York Rite first, and then Shrine, and so on and so forth. And kind of wish I would have learned a little bit more because the degree work from the York Rite is amazing. The Scottish Rite, we didn't get to see the degrees; we just kind of went through them. But the degree work kind of comes off of what you do in the Blue Lodge. Right. So yeah, definitely, I would say get to know a little bit of the work and at least go to several Master Mason degrees before you really start thinking hard on it. But I would suggest York Rite is a good one just because of that, because of the degree work you go through. A lot of it we can't really divulge into, delve into, whatever the word is. But and it's definitely something fun to get into. Now, Scottish Rite, like I said, if I would have seen the degrees, it may be different. But I don't guess you have either, have you?
What's that?
Seen the Scottish Rite degrees. We haven't actually been to a reunion, so that's something we both need to do.
And that's something I want to do. I'd like, we talked about doing that this coming year. And, the ability to find where those are and to try to get all of those in is just, it's almost impossible.
Right.
So what I was thinking is maybe find another, instead of the Albert Pike conferral that we went through,
a full reunion.
Yes, and go through and see them done like that. Is that
that's another?
Because they're just they just put on a degree at a time.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
I don't. It's one or two, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Like I said, I've never been to it either, so I have no clue.
That's
Yeah.
another thing too. I did not realize. I knew about Scottish Rite, York Rite, obviously, but the next day after my ceremony, I was able to flip through my Bible and started reading. I didn't
The
realize there
stuff
was
you
that
can get it.
much.
Yeah, there's all
As
kinds
all
of
the
stuff.
different titles and stuff. I was like, my
Mhm.
gosh, this is a lot deeper than I thought.
Oh yeah, there's all kind of stuff, and that's why that a lot of them, if they're present at your raising, they're going to hound you. Not really hound you, but they're going to invite you.
Right.
Um,
And they
there's-
did.
And I'm not soliciting right now myself, but I would like to maybe see you at some point.
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
future.
yeah.
Check out York Rite or Scottish Rite, either or both.
Mhm.
I've read Hammer's book,
Yeah.
Andrew Hammer's book
Yeah.
on
Observing the craft.
and I'm not going to say that he paints those things in a negative light, the appendant bodies in a negative light, but I think more of what he was saying was that our focus should be on the Blue Lodge.
And I
And
can
that
agree
there's
with
dependent bodies that
You know-
can pull us away from that. But me personally being involved in Blue Lodge and more involved in York Rite than I am Scottish Rite, but I plan to get more involved in Scottish Rite, but I haven't seen that. I have not, that hasn't
We've
been
just
the
been at
reality.
meetings pretty
Yeah,
much.
it does not take
Right.
being a member of York Rite or Scottish Rite does not really pull me away from my Blue Lodge.
Right.
I would say with York Rite, at least, like I said, with Scottish, I mean, we're still kind of just there.
Well,
I
say
mean,
that's
yeah,
what I
we're
was
meeting-
going to say too. Like, obviously, y'all two are well versed in it more than I am.
No. Zach is.
No,
Well, you've been out there longer. But I could see what would be a problem if people believe that because that's where everybody starts. You can't go here or there without being here. So I can
Right.
see where that could be.
Well, and that's I feel like York Rite in itself, it amplifies, I guess, my Blue Lodge. It kind of makes me want to do it more. Makes me want to learn more about the degrees and all
Right.
that kind of stuff, and be able to perform the degrees. And I'd like to be able to perform the degrees in York Rite. I just haven't learned the work yet. I haven't even bought the books yet, to be honest.
And one of the things I think Hammer was saying too is that, and I've seen it in my lodge, is that guys will use Blue Lodge as a stepping off point to get into Shriners. And then once they're in Shrine, some guys once they get into Shriner, that's it. They don't come back to Blue Lodge. They're Shriner, and that's their body then.
Yeah.
So I think that was the point that it seemed like he was trying to get across. So
Yeah.
so when I asked you if you were, contemplating joining one of the appendant bodies,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to leave your Blue Lodge
Oh, I
or
get
anything
that.
like that.
No,
I
I
just said my experience with being involved
Yeah.
is that it does not take away. Now I'm not involved with the Shriners other than doing the car show in
Yeah.
November, but
I
I haven't seen it take away from my Blue Lodge.
I really don't think I would feel right if I got to a point like Shriners or something and not going back to the Blue Lodge. Because I mean, you work so hard through that. That's who brings you in. That's who puts up with all your crap to teach you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel right not going back. So I would have to stay involved.
For me, it kind of gives me more respect for my lodge
Yeah,
of going up there to
Yeah.
Birmingham Metro.
Yeah.
that's very exciting.
Not saying anything bad about Birmingham Metro. Great, a really great bunch of brothers. But I got to those brothers through my Blue
Right.
Lodge.
Mm.
No, I'm not saying that, but I wouldn't be able to go just be like, all right, I appreciate what y'all did, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And some people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's the way I've looked at it throughout this whole experience. And our worshipful master and everybody that's helped me along the way, they had to take the time to come sit down with me. We meet on Monday nights. They didn't have to come down there on Wednesday and Thursday, 4:00, spend 2 hours me babbling trying to learn this lesson.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that. They
That's
took their time to sit down with me, make sure I did it, show up an hour and a half before the night I was going to give it back
Mhm.
to make sure I had it hammered down. They dedicated a lot of time. So no, I couldn't just walk away
Yeah.
from that.
And that's in the end, Blue Lodge is masonry.
Right.
That's
That
what
is.
it. I mean, that's what it
3
all
degrees,
consists of.
brother.
And
3 degrees.
without that blue degree, without that Blue Lodge, you don't have York Rite. You don't have. I mean, the Shriners originally, I think, were a separate entity, but you don't have the Shriners. You don't have
Right.
Scottish Rite and all these other dependent bodies and stuff. So, but yeah, definitely Blue Lodge is Blue Lodge is the bomb. I love Blue Lodge. And it's more fun when you actually start getting in, like you said. I mean, getting put in that chair.
Well,
Just
that's the last 2 weeks.
volunteer for it.
I've been in 2 different chairs.
Yeah, volunteer for it. I mean, you may not know the work yet, but they'll walk you through it.
Right. And that's like you told me when I texted you, like, yesterday, this morning, we were planning on coming. You said, I'll put you to work.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah. We're gonna excuse me. We're gonna try to being that I'm in the East this year. We're gonna try to do something every week.
And
Whether
that's been one of the beauties of Lodge so far since Zach's taken the East is that we're actually working. We're doing stuff, and you know,
I even invited him to the fishing tournament. And he said he's going to be fishing the
I
tournament.
might be.
So
I haven't been that with you.
You know,
to see what Dad wants to do.
we as Masons, we sit around and we talk about our dismal numbers of attendance and everything in Lodge, but then we have a new initiate, a young man that comes through, and he comes to Lodge and he listens. We open, read the minutes, the sickness and the stress business and all of that, and then we close and go home. That leaves a young man saying, "What about
why am I here?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
We've got to work.
Yeah.
It's all about working.
And
Isn't that what masonry is all about? Is working.
And that's something that kind of fished me into it too. Is our lodge is good about working on something, whether it's just making sure somebody knows how to ask the person at the door if they're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, they work on something. And that's what hooked me was right after I made EA, I stood in my first night. Yeah, they opened an EA just so I could sit there and watch the process. And it came down to work. So, all right, Mr. Brasfield, well, see you later. You can't stay for this part. And I was like, well, what's that for?
Yeah. And that's
so they kept doing that. So I wanted to, I want to get to the point where I can stay.
And we've got an EA now, and I've been catering to him a little bit, letting him sit in and stuff. And there was one night we opened in Fellowcraft just to throw everybody off.
Right.
But I told him in advance. But I might start doing that. Just open up and be like, all right, well, we're done with all this stuff. We're gonna go to Master Mason real quick because we are gonna work on something.
It's good to mix it up.
Yeah.
If not, it just becomes monotonous.
Yep. And that might be what we work on this week is going from opening EA and then we're gonna go to Master Mason Lodge.
I'd be interested to see that. So
okay. And one of the things that he talked about that we were going to do was proper introduction of dignitaries.
Yeah. Grand Lodge officers.
Grand Lodge officers, proper, what does the Tyler do when there's an alarm at the outer door during
during Lodge? I see that.
Yeah.
That's what happened with ours. That's why.
The night I went to get back my Fellowcraft, there was a tap at the door. I was sitting there waiting. I was like, over there.
And you'll learn all that. And a lot of times it's something, ours was an actual issue. We had an issue there and we don't know the guy. We had to figure out who he was. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to prove that he was a Mason, so he couldn't sit in with us. But, that's something that everybody needs to know how to do is to, somebody doesn't want to come in during the middle of Lodge, how to do that.
That's been one of my biggest things, too, so far is I've been vouched for everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Somebody knows me.
Yeah.
So I know one day it's going to happen. Like, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm going to go here that night. And whenever I show up, I'm like, hey, I can't make it.
Yeah. One day we'll all load up. We'll go to like Tennessee or something. Or
just show up. Nobody.
We need to go to Georgia to see Brother Eric. But we'll all go one day and we'll let him interview you and investigate you.
Well, they won't know us either, so we'll be interviewed and investigated too.
If we go somewhere, we know somebody. I know some folks in Tennessee. We know some folks in we'll just go to Mississippi. Then we'll all get there.
I don't know. I got a family in Mississippi.
Let's
go to Louisiana. It's like a trip.
And speaking of Louisiana, that's something you'll get to see too one day. So the version of Masonry that we do is the York Rite version, quote unquote. And there is a Scottish Rite version that there's one lodge in the United States that puts on the degrees.
Master Mason degree.
Well, they do all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
And
it's the red degree.
Yeah, Germania Lodge down in Louisiana. You said Louisiana made me think about it. That's something that you will need to watch one day. It's very interesting.
And different.
Back in June, I think it was May or June, there was one put on by a tribe.
But there's another one of those. There's Indian coming down.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Oklahoma tribes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Something.
It's the Oklahoma Indian.
It's And I remember Cindy telling me, he was like, "Did you get your lesson turned in? That way you can go watch them." I said, "Well, what day?"
Yeah, they're going to be coming to Piedmont. I think it's December 7th.
Right. They stay there in the summer, apparently.
Yeah.
Because he told me, he was like, "Oh, it's like June 10th or whatever, whatever weekend it was." He's like, "You turn your degree in." I said, "Well, Cindy, it doesn't rightfully matter." He said, "Why?" I said, "If I turn in my degree right now, so I'm just past fellowcraft, I can't go."
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they put on a fellowcraft degree,
Right.
Well, they were coming down for masters, so it wasn't nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we went and witnessed the master's degree for the Red Lodge or the Red degree, and it was interesting. I've heard the entered apprentice degree is a lot better to watch, but you can definitely tell the difference. Most of it's stuff we can't really say on there,
Right.
but
Most of the work is the same.
yeah, for the
Pretty
most
much.
part, yeah. They do use a little bit more than we do in opening and closing. I feel like, which is pretty cool to see, but definitely. Definitely need to check some of that out.
You get the same conferral. You get
Yeah.
the same. You get the same. The work is not the same. It's different, but still,
You get the
there's
same
so
thing out
many
of the degree,
similarities.
yeah.
But it's just cool to watch the differences.
Right.
I was like, man, why can't we do that?
Yeah.
You know.
I had something else I was going to ask you a minute ago, and it's completely left me now.
Tell you what my daddy always told me, must not have been important.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, it's gone.
That's okay.
I might have to cut a little bit of that out. I'm trying to think of what it was
Hey,
because it was a good
You
question.
cut
too.
this off too. CRS is what that's called.
We might have to leave that in there now.
Gotta keep that.
Can't remember squat.
There you go. Church it up. I like it.
Yeah.
So you don't have. You say you've been sitting in the junior deacon seat, but you don't have that station, right?
No. I've been promoted.
Yeah, they're gonna put you in that junior deacon seat next year.
Yeah, I've already been told.
Yeah.
They told me point blank because the last 2 weeks is like I said, it's only been 2 weeks since I've been raised, and I haven't sat on the sideline yet. I came in that first night, threw me in junior deacon. Last Monday, sat down. Well, junior deacon's there. Okay, I'm gonna get to watch tonight. No, I didn't even sit down. I just stayed posted up over there with Sidney talking to him for a minute. And I heard him tap. He said, "Brother Brasfield, senior deacon." All right. So, went through my progressions, did what I had to do. That part seemed easier because I didn't have to talk.
Yeah. Got a
I'm
couple
good
of
with action.
one-liners.
Just the words, it's a problem.
Yeah. Senior deacon to me, that's my favorite spot to work in all of the Blue Lodge.
I requested Thursday night that I
Yeah.
work the senior deacon during the EA
Yeah.
degree, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn that work, and it'd be easy for me to learn it. I think it wouldn't take very long to get there. Just a few things. Steve obviously pointed out many things that I didn't know. And there's just so many movements and things to remember.
And the
It's
precision.
going to take a while too, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the senior deacon
Yeah.
part.
Now, and that's something. I know you said the master was your favorite degree. What was your favorite part of all the degrees, if you can say it without getting too specific? If you have a favorite part, I mean, I know.
I've been
Obviously,
interested in
the
all.
third degree's awesome.
Right. I mean, obviously, I finally reached the finish line, so to speak. I
Yeah.
know there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Finally
You're
opened
just at the
everything up.
starting line.
That's what I'm saying. I finally opened the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? The whole journey in and of itself has been fun. Like I said, I got mad at myself a lot through fellowcraft because I kept tripping things up.
Yeah.
But the third degree is going to be the favorite part, just simply because I'd sat down for so many nights going over this stuff, trying to think about it. And that's what killed me, is going through these lessons in my head at work. I work by myself.
Oh man.
Trying to go over, you'd be, killing it. Like, you remember the question, answer, you bam, bam, bam. And then you trip one word, you'd be like, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I can't text nobody, but hey,
Yeah.
because you ain't supposed to do it,
Yeah.
So I had to get unsure about that. And then finally making to the Master Mason, the 29th. And,
Kind of like topping the hill on a race.
a little bit. Like, it felt like I was
got
never going to get there. Like, I felt like I stalled out in a lot of spots. And then I finally got there, and, Dennis shook my hand and told me congratulations. I was like, dang on, we did it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. That's, I've always said actually doing the work.
Right.
I have, the looking back on my degrees and stuff, I would say the same thing.
And see, that's another thing I wondered too. Is like going into it was all I was told. There's learning to be done. I didn't know exactly.
There's a lot.
Like, you know,
more and more and more.
I mean, cause, if you got a guy coming in, he's going to come in as EA in 2 weeks. You know he's coming in, but you can't talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just all the thing I was told was just go with it. That's
Yeah.
the only advice I got coming into it. Just go with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's good advice. Yeah.
That's the only thing I was told. You know, just let it go. Whatever seems weird, just let it ride.
Yeah.
You know, it's what's
Yeah. I always go back to in the first degree, they tell you to fear no danger.
right.
That's, to me, that stuck with me through all my degrees. And it just, it even now, it still rings in my head, you know,
Right.
fear no evil or fear no danger. I mean,
Well,
I got another question for you.
What's up?
Talking about fear no evil or whatever. Have you found anything in any of the 3 degrees of masonry that interferes with your faith?
No.
Okay. I like how quick you answered that question.
you know, and there's guys. One, I found this out fairly early in my journey through this that everybody's intertwined.
yeah.
Because shortly after I made EA, I was sitting at work one day. A guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, come here." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "James E. Trust." I was like, "How you know?" He's like, "Well, I'm on the website stuff," and he showed me his due code and everything else. He's been a master mason for 15 years.
Yeah.
But I guess I guess the fire captain saw it and was like, "What was that about?" I was like, "It's Mason stuff." And they've asked me a lot of questions like, "Is it satanic? Is it this?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I can't tell you, but everything ties together."
I feel like you're a lot like we are. You know, if there was something in there that,
Yeah, I wouldn't
you
be
know, was anything near that,
If at
you'd be
any
out.
time I felt like anything was condemning me, putting myself at risk for any kind of eternal damnation, I'm like, all right,
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
See, have
Right.
a good day.
Yeah.
But it's just like being in Senior Deacon's fight. You know, his duties the lodge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's strenuous, and I felt that.
Yeah.
Junior Deacon, whenever I did it, you know, they were like, "Hey, speak up. You ain't got to whisper. You
Yeah.
can speak." Okay, whatever. It's no big deal. But the performance of the Senior Deacon, whenever I walked up there, you could feel the eyeballs.
Yeah.
It's like, go ahead, screw it up.
you,
I didn't. I didn't.
you can. I can agree with that. You can feel the pressure.
And that's what I'm saying is I even got a kudos. When I came back and did my thing, they were like, "Hey, there was not bad."
But
I felt those. Go ahead, boy.
you'll get that a lot too. Like just from listening, just from sitting there listening in lodge, you'll be able to open and close lodge like that.
Well, see, it's just like Junior Deacon's spot. First night we had a brother pass away. I've never met him. He's older, been out of lodge for a while because he had been able to, but I was part of the altar, draping the altar.
Yeah.
I guess they thought that was going to throw me. Well, I've had the unfortunate pleasure of watching it like 4 times.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of older members pass away since my journey in January.
Yeah.
And I've watched them do it. You know, you're honoring a man's life.
Yeah.
So I paid attention, you know, how you do everything.
Yeah.
So I walked up there, I did what I had to do, and we sat it down, and Ricky looked at me, he said, "Damn, he does listen." I thought, "I ain't getting something thrown at me, okay?" So I'm trying to learn.
I do a lot of those most of the time, you know, especially around here, I hate to say laid back, but
Yeah, I've noticed that.
it's more relaxed than, you know, I went to Scotland and it's suits and ties and everything's precision. Of course, I didn't attend lodge. I didn't get to see that, but I got told a bunch of that, but it's very military precision, you know, those turns and stuff. But here, you know, if all you got to do is say, "What do I do?" And somebody's going to kind of, "Oh, you go this way and do this, do this."
Being going, "Buddy."
Yeah. But that's, you know, that's where it comes into practice, practice, practice. You just got to do it and do it and do it. And, you know, the first time I started working with our district lecturer, Dennis, on trying to do the Grand Lodge certificate, and we went through the degree work and stuff, and he was like, "I'm surprised you know so much." And I said, "Well, I'm a good listener."
Just pay attention.
Yeah. That's all it is. Just pay attention
that's
to what
one thing-
everybody's doing.
I learned early on, too, just sitting in lodge throughout the whole process is the wording's not as important as movement. Sometimes.
No,
Sometimes.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah.
That's
you're
what I'm
right.
saying. I figured those pieces out, and then I started learning the words behind it. It's got a lot more natural for me that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
getting back to the faith thing. Ha!
I had
You
something. I
had
was gonna
nothing.
ask
You
about
had
that too.
nothing. So going through the degrees of masonry, you found nothing that interfered with your faith.
Nothing that I found
With
in
your
there
faith.
is anything.
So going through the 3 degrees of masonry, have you found anything that reaffirms?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Amplifies.
So
Yeah.
amplifies
Well,
your
it's,
faith.
and that's the thing is like a lot of people that know I'm a Mason.
And the reason I say your faith is because I'm gonna give I'm gonna give your podcast the
right.
Dad Pod.
The praying hands.
The praying hands. He's got the praying hands, and he's got crosses on. So I know you'd be a religious man, or either false advertisement. But anyway, Hunter, and it looks like Nick Adams. They have a podcast called Dad Pod,
Dad.
and he's got the shirt on. So that's the reason I'm throwing these faith questions at you.
Mad at you.
So,
Well, I've always been told, and this is what I was told the night I was being brought in, like the night I got interviewed, for the committee, was we open in prayer, we close in prayer. Everything we do is based around the Bible, and that made me feel a lot better about it. 'Cause, you walk into a lodge not knowing it. You walk into this room nobody really sees.
Yeah.
all these pictures of men
yeah,
on the wall,
all this stuff on the wall,
before.
the lights and everything. It's like our lodge is very dimly lit. So you walk in, you're just like, hey, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So it can be nerve wracking, but the more I talk to those guys, and they're like, look, this is what we do. This is what I can tell you now. And the more we move through it, the more I've heard, King Solomon, where all that ties in.
Yeah.
Why the certain guys were allowed to do what and everything, and how it tied back in. And,
Yeah.
the biggest thing that got me too was, I think it's the first degree.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it because I don't know what I can say,
Yeah.
but it's part of the obligation.
Yeah.
That right there got me like, okay, if it was something nefarious, that would not be in the wording.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
And I like that you've added in there the opening and closing in prayer. That's one of the things that really got me was, they tell you, you're not supposed to do anything without first asking the blessing of God.
That's right.
And I love that. And that was the question I was going to ask earlier too, is if it, with looking at like Kings and some of the different books in the Bible, you see a lot of stuff of masonry
and that's
in there.
Thing too.
Kings and masonry.
That's another thing I want to touch on too. Is I was told, this is before I was ever brought in. Period. They just told me, so apparently there's a lot of issue, and maybe y'all heard it with the worshipful master title.
Yeah,
people don't like it.
I ran into it today.
So that's one thing people
I've
don't
been
like.
asked that too.
How do you call him worshipful master? Blah 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 blah. Well, he's not acting as if he's God.
Right.
He's the one that's leading us. It's still different than a preacher. That's what I can't figure out. Why people get mad about it. You sit down and call a man a preacher, but he helps lead you in the faith.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy tell me, I'm not going to call anybody worshipful master, but my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I mean, I can agree.
And I understand that.
He is the master.
Right.
Exactly. See, the way I was explained, and this was actually to Jeremy, we were working on his lesson at the lodge. Me and you, Ben, and Steve stayed after and helped him with his lesson some. And the way it was explained to us is it's more of just a respect because there's so much on the position and everything.
He's helping guide everything.
The way I see it is you're calling him worshipful. That means he's full of worship.
Yeah.
And the master is just the master of the lodge.
See, if you understand a little bit of English, you understand what's
that's what the people don't understand is, that master title.
Right.
And it's no, a master mason. That's no different than a master plumber, a master electrician, a master
too, is even if
stone.
you're not involved in it, and you look back at that wording right there, master mason, what it actually means.
Yep.
Just means you're good. You're a master of your craft.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you're in charge of nobody. You're doing this. You perfected your craft.
We've got the exact same levels today in the trade system. You've got the apprenticeship.
Right.
You've got a journeyman, which is fellow craft.
Hey, fun fact: you still got to go through work for that too.
Exactly. And that's the hard part.
My brother went through every bit of it. I never wanted a piece of it. He decided to be a Marine, to tell you how bad that works.
Oh yeah. I think I'd much rather show. I don't know. Being a Marine might be fun.
But no, the whole faith thing, obviously, if anybody ever heard you whenever you're getting started, they're like, oh, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's evil. Well, how do you know? Well, Craig's second cousin, third down the line, he was in it. He told me it was evil. Well, Craig might have been an idiot.
I watched a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the most dangerous place for anything nowadays.
Social media.
We talked about this last time I was here. Your mind's going to form whatever opinion you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into it thinking it's bad, you're going to, oh, that video's probably crap. Oh, there it is right there. It says it's bad. See, I was right. You're automatically going to draw that assumption, so you can't do it.
Yeah. And that was one thing that was hard for me. It's been said a million times on this show, but I went into it thinking Knights Templar, Da Vinci Code, National Treasure, and all that. And I went into it originally thinking, oh, this is going to be something mystical or some, I'm going to learn some magic or something, be connected to
the secrets of the world.
Yeah. And what is it? New World Order or whatever. Yeah. And after I got my entered apprentice, I got humbled real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad I did because I love what we do. I love every minute of it.
Somebody asked me a while back because they heard me mention that I made Master Mason. They're like, oh, so you know where the gold is now. I was like, I was like, it ain't that deep.
Good old treasure.
Some treasure. Yeah.
They're like, oh, they need to make a third movie to see if you can say if it's real. I was like, it's not even like that.
They made a show, a National Treasure show, and they actually put a lodge in there, and it's I won't say it's completely wrong, but most of it's wrong.
The lodge itself looked good.
Yeah. It was just for purposes.
And so that's one thing I've seen, like TikTok. The phones hear everything we say. Scrolling through, there's this guy. We spoke about him last time too. He's sternly against it. I don't know if he went suspended or tried to do something and got blackballed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he talks about the good and evil within the lodge, the representation. I was like, well, yeah, there might be a little representation of good and evil, but it's our everyday fight.
Yeah.
If you're a good person, the white and black is good and evil.
Star Wars, yeah.
That's just the way of the world.
It's just representation. It's nothing, good and evil, we worship Satan. No.
Yeah.
It's not.
If anything, I would say the opposite.
Right.
Completely the opposite.
But nobody knows, and that's something else. There's a guy that is interested, and he would be a stellar Mason. Dude, JT's probably 57 years old. He's going to seminary school, trying to get his stuff, trying to get set up for retirement. So whenever he retires, he can preach whatever else. And he's taken a real big interest in it. And I've told him what I can without getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And I want him to come in because he'd be a picture perfect boy.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much on board with me now that there's nothing evil to it.
Yeah.
Oh, several ministers.
We've got several
ministers.
And I know some that have had to.
Lodge as a preacher.
Yeah. I know some that have had to back away from it because of their churches.
Right.
And which, that's one of those things, like we've said before, people don't really understand what they can't see.
And that's what I told him is he told me, all he's heard his whole life was, it's evil. It's evil. I said, well, two things you got to look at down here is one, we live in the South.
Yeah.
Where if anything's different, what they've known for 200 years, it's automatically wrong, whether it's good or evil or not.
Yeah.
It's automatically wrong. I said,
the old ways.
I said, it's secret.
Yeah.
You can't just anybody walk up and, come in there. We can't do that, right? So the unknown in the South don't go far.
Right.
And that's what I told him. I said, the more you have people that are in higher power going to tell you it's evil, it's bad, whatever else, because they've never been in it.
Yeah.
And I think it would be safe to say that, and the Bible talks about this in the latter days, and I'm going to talk Bible now, but the Bible talks about in the latter times that what is good will be called evil, and what is evil will be called good. And we see that on a scale in society
every day,
where they're tearing down churches,
right?
Where they're tearing down masonry. Why, as a society, would you want to tear down something that's principle is standing on morality and brotherly love? And that's both the church and masonry.
Right.
Because evil, it seems like in society, evil is just, I don't know, ballooning. It's just taking off.
It's
you
becoming
see it on
the
the
quote
scale,
unquote right thing to do.
It's become the right thing to do.
I agree.
We need to do a religious podcast.
Ethical and moral.
Morals and ethics.
And,
right.
I won't get too deep into politics here, so I better. I'm going to back off the. I'm pulling off of that statement I was just to make, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, for me, when people point their fingers at us, at our fraternity, and say, y'all are evil.
You don't know.
You know, I know that that's the world fighting back
I agree.
against what we actually stand for.
And that's my thing too. Is like they're automatically firing against us because we're an easy scapegoat. That y'all are wrong. What's wrong with the world? Y'all are driving it. You know the misconception. I know what's right. I know what I'm doing is good. I don't care. I mean,
That's right.
this person over here has an issue with what I'm doing just because you know I wear that on my hand. That's your problem.
Yeah, and being a worldwide society, I mean, a worldwide fraternity, I mean, it's easy to see why somebody would say that. Yeah, but you know, and that's a lot of why I think we started this, was to get it out there of, you know, what we can say about the truth about Masonry. And I think that's a lot of the podcasts and some of the guys on TikTok that are Masons and things like that. I think that's what a lot of us are trying to do, is trying to get out there and disprove the naysayers.
I don't know if you've seen him. I think he's out of Texas. He goes live pretty regularly. He pops up to mine, Brother Fluff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you're
Brother who?
Fluff.
Brother Fluff. Yeah.
I don't know.
He's a Texas Freemason. Very good guy.
But he does. He gets out there and he tries to spread the word the best he can about what we do.
He does a very good job of it, from what I've seen.
He really does. And I love the caption every time. Whenever I'm scrolling through, it pops up. It'll say on the bottom, "Oh, look, a Freemason."
He would be a good one to get on the show.
Yeah.
If we could ever, Fluff, if you are listening to this, give me a call or shoot me an email or something.
Reach out to the dad pod. I'll put you in contact with him.
Heck, we'll put you up in a bed and breakfast out here somewhere. We'll make it happen.
We'll have time to get bed and breakfast.
I'll get some. Put him in the lodge.
Come stay in Raglan, Alabama.
Let the ghost of B&M get him.
Yeah.
I got a bedroom. Come stay with me.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We definitely, I'd love to have him on. And there's several others on there that I think would make, that do a great job of it. And so far from what I've seen from you, you're going to do a good job of it.
I've enjoyed it.
You seem like you really like the craft. And
favorite working tool?
Oh.
I ain't got to get
Huh?
I ain't got to get experience with all that yet. I don't know.
So far, favorite working tool?
I don't know.
On the spot.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I should have answered this, but the question,
which none of the work from the secret tools is. I mean, from the secret tool. What am I talking about? The working tools. That's all in the books.
Yeah,
none of that secret.
You ain't talking about.
I ain't got that deep into it. That's what I'm saying. Like the question's
What's yours?
I would say the travel.
The travel.
Yeah.
That's where I was
because I like the whole traveling thing, and I like meeting new brethren.
Yeah.
Now I like all of them. I love all.
Okay, so that's what you were speaking on before we started. I got you.
Yeah. Spreading the cement of brotherly love.
Spreading that cement of brotherly love, which unites us into one common mass.
I don't remember exactly how
or something like that.
I guess that's something I need to memorize. You did too.
No. Worst.
If I could try to answer that question just a hair off a little bit I know so far, and I could be completely off the mark here, but 24-inch gauge. That's a big thing to me. Because, I heard it in my EA about, breaking up your time, not letting things interfere with your family. And that's a big thing for me. So honestly, I think that would probably be my favorite one.
I like that. And it does. I mean, it that's helped me a lot with, which, I mean, I work a 12-hour shift, so that doesn't really, but it does. I mean, it teaches you more about, how to not so much just don't spend all your time at work. Spend some time with your family.
To me, it's not just spending all your time at work either. I mean, it's going and sitting somewhere Saturday instead of spending time with your wife and kids.
Yeah, that's what I was
seeing your daddy if he's still here, stuff like that. And I think about that a lot because I don't like when I'm at work. I don't like overtime.
Mm-hmm.
I get up 5 a.m. when I go to work, come home, I'm going to spend time with daughters. They're not going to be that age forever. One day they're probably going to hate me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Time is one thing we cannot get back.
That's one thing when I started my business is I used to work 10, 12, 14 hours a day, just to appease a boss man and to complete my workload.
Yeah.
But now that, that I've started my own business, we try to limit it to an 8-hour day. The best we can. Now there's emergencies here and there, and there's parties and things that we have to take care of. But for the most part, getting back to that 24-inch gauge that you were talking about, that
Right.
takes me back to that. And I guess that's where I subconsciously started doing that from.
And
Yeah.
that's, first degree. That's the first thing that stuck with me whenever they explained it to me.
Yeah.
Because, I don't consider myself an old man by no means, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
I
Well,
do. I consider
I get
myself
you.
one.
But, I'm not in my 20s no more, and I've got 2 young daughters.
Earlier,
and
when you
stuff.
said you're the guy, you said, "Man, he's almost 57 years old." I said, "There, man, that's old."
You're
Go ahead.
You're still not as old as my dad, though. I'll give you that. But that's my thing. It's like I think about things like that, and unfortunately, that is part of some of the issues I have from firefighting. I mean, is that my dad is still here. He's had a lot of health problems last year, and I know he's not going to be here forever.
You spend every moment you can
Exactly.
with him.
I talked to him before I came over here, stuff like that, and it's just like at work. They got a couple Saturdays coming up. My partner asked me, he's like, "You want any of those?" I was like, "You want them?" He said, "Yeah." So I'm gonna spend those in some beach weekend. Cool. We got cheerleading.
Yeah.
Got a fishing tournament I want to do. I'd much rather be at home with them anyhow. You can be up here all day Saturday. I don't want to.
Yeah. That's me. I mean, as soon as my 12-hour shift's over, I'm out the door. And I don't even think, well, I have trouble not thinking about work sometimes. You know how that
Yeah,
goes.
100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You work 12-hour shifts,
Mhm. 6A to 6B. We do the 3 days on, 2 days off, 2 days on, 3 days off.
vacation, everything, right?
Yeah, I wish you could call it a vacation, but
I get it.
being in the line of work, it's stressful. So and that's where a lot of that alcoholism and stuff came from. I think was kind
That
of
don't help.
some undiagnosed PTSD. No, I know. It just
That's
gets,
what
it just
we're
gets you
doing.
addicted to it.
That's what we were doing with the
What about your working tools on that? What about so that was kind of a loaded question whenever I asked you what your favorite working tool was. For me, it's almost that all the tools.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I mean,
that's all
each one of them has some little
Yeah,
thing.
significance.
The 24-inch gauge is for our time, dividing it wisely.
Right.
The square. I mean, that's just common sense stuff, man.
Yeah.
Treat everybody on the square, right?
Yeah. And
circumscribing our desires, man.
Yeah.
How long, man? I wish I'd have known that when I was a teenager.
Yeah. And going back to that,
Sure.
thinking about, what the name of the podcast, Imperfect Assholes, that comes from the common gavel.
Right.
Those gavels knocking off the
Knocking
superfluous edges and the rough edges.
Well, some of us have more rough edges to knock off.
Yeah. We all have some. That's why we're imperfect.
That's
We're not
right.
perfect.
No,
But we're not the rough ones either. We're not the completely just fresh out of the
Absolutely.
quarry.
No,
So,
fresh out of the quarry.
That's fair.
yeah. Well,
Not anymore, anyhow.
yeah, exactly. We're working on it. Well, we're coming up on right at an hour. We got about 2 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and say let's shut it down right here. But I do want to give a shout out to the Amity travel app. I don't know if any of their folks are listening or not, but I recently sent them an email and they have put us on their app under the Masonic media page. So we want to tell them we appreciate that and we wish them all the best with their app and what they're doing. It's basically a what would you call it, like an electronic dues card type thing, travel. And I don't think Alabama actually recognizes it yet, but it's a good tool. They have a lot on there. Oh yeah, exactly. But we do want to give a shout out to them and tell them we appreciate it. And I believe Ben has something else he's going to say.
I would like to request prayer for Brother past Grandmaster Brother Rusty Beck in his battle with lung cancer, and I'd also like to request prayer for Corey Stewart's wife.
Yes.
If anybody's listening, if you would just power of prayer is an amazing thing. It can move mountains. Amen. And where we're united, we cannot be divided. And so let's just come together in prayer for those people.
That's something I think we need to start doing is keeping a list of people that we need to, just pass it on to let everybody to pray for.
That list is so big.
Because I know, like with Brother James Ferguson going through his deal, some medical issues, and I can't even remember all of them. There was a bunch of them.
I heard at York yesterday. Y'all be praying for Brother David Jones. His father passed away, and it's just there's so much sickness, so much cancer out there. Found out Brother Winston Each has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. So that's another prayer request. We're praying for Brother Winston Each, if you would.
If anybody does have any prayer requests, we'd be happy to take them too. We have that. I don't even remember the email now. Imperfect Ashlers podcast at gmail.com. If you do have any prayer requests, we'll be happy to pray over them. And if you wanted it announced on the show, we'll be happy to announce it to let everybody pray for them too.
Yep.
And we'll send it off to whoever you want us to have just the extra prayers, because I know the more you get, it can't hurt.
That's right. We definitely want to thank our guests for
Yes,
coming in and
yes,
joining
sir.
us today. Second
Mr.
time on the
Green.
show.
I enjoy being here, man. Anytime y'all want me.
We got to go back and make up that
Yeah.
Feltcraft one too. So we'll have to
Yeah.
check on it again.
I'm open for it anytime you want to, man.
And
Sure enjoyed it.
we're gonna have to get on his dad pod.
Absolutely. We're going to get you over there.
Y'all might could give me some advice.
Yeah.
You what, my son.
Well, we appreciate y'all listening again, and we'll get at you next time. Hopefully, next time we'll
Hey.
get those guys from
We
Observer.
got to finish before we leave. real
Go
quick.
ahead.
Just because it's been a long-standing thing and it's almost into August. Zach, roll tide, buddy.
Roll Tide.
War Eagle.
Yeah.
Well, this year it's going to be Go Gamecocks. I'm pulling for Jack.
Oh.
Alabama's had plenty of national championships. Auburn had a couple. It's time for Jacksonville to get one.
Hey, we'll go with that.
Y'all have a good one.